He was aware of something terribly wrong that was getting ready to be made public.
Investigators said the murders, a father and son killed execution style in their garage, was just a midday robbery gone bad.
Well, people do love a good crime show, right? Well, there's a man in Greenville who started his own podcast about a high-profile murder that happened in Greenville more than 4 decades ago.
He's spending more than 40 hours a week putting this together on top of his full-time job and releases a new episode every Tuesday. 7 News reporter Kirsten Glavin is joining us live tonight here at 7 on Main with more. Kirsten.
Well, Gordon, Amy, the podcast is called Murder, Etc., which was the charge one man faced when going to prison for a crime he may not have committed. Now, although this all happened back in the 70s, Brad Willis says the truth is still coming to light today.
With the cops at the door, it all ran into decades of head shaking and questions.
In a dark room,
And a lot of them needed rides home.
filled with stories from the past,
Larry deposited his drunk airman at the
words from Brad Willis's lips come alive.
Back in the early 60s, Greenville County was still home to an active military facility.
The former reporter surrounds himself with details of the one case he can't let go.
This is the initial police report from the murder, and you go forward from there, and you have all of the statements, you have the sketches. There were 2 points when I was reading that said, this is not right. How did this possibly happen?
It was a high-profile murder case from the 70s. A cop killed execution style before breaking a case, and one man, Willis says, wrongly accused and sentenced to death.
This man went to death row and is still alive. That's a story that you hear very, very rarely.
Corruption and organized crime ring. Willis has turned his obsession with finding the truth into a podcast called Murder, Etc.
In a southern city plagued by police, drugs, and guns.
Stuff was going crazy. Narcs were crazy, city cops crazy, county cops, drug addict, everybody was running crazy back then.
Willis interviews people from the past that are still in Greenville today, painting a darker picture of what they call the truth.
What's interesting is that we all see Greenville in one way. It's the way that it's in the glossy magazines right now. It's the way that it's in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times. But there are people who live all around Greenville and all around Greenville County who lived here and saw it in a different way. But we don't hear from them very often. They're not the people who are interviewed for these glossy magazines. But boy, they have a story to tell.
And after these episodes started coming out, he says more people have come forward about the murder case, some even with new evidence and recordings back from the 70s when this happened. So a lot of it's still unraveling as he's doing these podcasts.
That's really interesting. So it's a work in progress, so to speak. Yeah. What about, you said he's talking to a lot of people, and these people, he says, have stories to tell. Some of them still in power?
Yeah, so some of the people he's actually interviewing are people in power. For example, Greenville County Sheriff Johnny Mac Brown is one that was in the podcast there. He's interviewed city councilors, even Mayor White in Greenville. So a lot of these people are still around today, so you can hear from them about this old case and kind of see how it's evolved since then. So very interesting stuff.
We'll be following it, Kirsten. Thank you.
Search is under